Hello everybody and welcome back to Comic Studio, but before we're gonna begin of this video, I'm unable to type for some sort of like the faster things as well, but let's go into be searching for Fundamental Paper Education Comic Studio. This is going to be for only one for some sort of the correct spelling as the fundamental, and then we added paper or not the PA like those things for the double words. So this could be fundamental paper education, and it's not going to be for such as a little bit for me as well. But not for me when I was pretty young. Unfortunately, I'm unable to learn for some more like those things because of that I just draw something as well from the Wimpy Kids or some kind of for unknown thing as hell that I just did something a little bit pretty worse than I used to be for some sort of 3D animated posters or 3D animated guys like themselves from some sort of the 3D animation meme, of course, that I never supposed to be. And so let's go into get on to the search of fundamental paper education and searching for around here. As you can see, the results could be for much more as even this as well. Expected around them must be featured Paper Mario Comic Studio, and there's a whole lot more about Fundamental Paper Education Comic Studios, and that could be everywhere from around here. But as you can see, for some pretty much, this isn't going to be quite much appropriate for like this. This is not going to be completely recommended like this. The underrated Fundamental Paper Education Comic Studios could be from around anywhere as well. So we might able to be started around first before I might go to be check it out for all of those things. As a total could be Fundamental Education Comic Studio, Fundamental Paper Animation, or Fundamental Paper, like those things, or the education or the execution for around here. Another one could be the total of 1, 2, 3, 4 fundamental education paper comic studios around here. So the first thing, let's start around over here for this thing as well. Even for that wasn't going to be a little bit for me since I just recorded a round of this video since 3 a.m. So I have saw some sort of like for some sort of video compilations from TikTok, and this is not actually like appropriate that I've seen for some sort of the inappropriate of some sort of thumbnails around the internet videos. I have searched around here on the internet videos right away, but I'm not pretty sure there aren't like those things for the main characters. Could be around students, as we're turning on spoilers, as we could be seeing some sort of the names from some kind of other guest, or made by the homosexual user, or the homosexual person for some sort of like this. And I cannot believe it was drawn by a homosexual person or an antichrist person that who made it for some sort of for one lethal thing. Because nothing for like this thing as well, and because that Donald Trump might able to be finding out what I just never to be spotted around here, or he's going to be seeing this right now, unless if it's some sort of a law and order, you may not able to be seeing for this thing as well. Against Trump rules, age, and restrictions, while I'm just publishing this video for right away that I already published this thing. So the few multiple of names like their students could be Oliver, Zip, Edward, the paper female anime, Petunia, Lizzie, Kevin, QB, Robbie, Riley, Ruby, Skell, Clary, or some kind of Clara, Angle, Bubbles, Lana, Abby. Kindergartens, that must be for some sort of like those things. And that must be for multiple of like those things as pretty some kind of guys as well. There are kindergarten persons, unnamed students, the OCs, and adult users. Adult users only. I cannot believe this isn't going to be for such as a little bit as well. So, if I'm going to be seeing for a little bit closely as well, you realize that was an anime reference. You see, this is actually not going to be pretty like this. And whenever that I just seen for something a little bit disturbing, that wasn't going to be came for around here for such as a little bit as well. In the kindergarten usernames or some kind of little kids or some kind of toddlers, they are not absolutely being named for around as well. So we didn't absolutely find for some sort of for an unknown names, and I couldn't able to be finding out what is going on around here. So that must be another one, and the third one could be for this thing as well. So the unnamed students I've just found over here. Especially, that must be Stickman. Oh my gosh, that was gotta be a little bit disturbing over here. Including for some Japanese classmates everywhere. The OCs wasn't going to be for some sort of like those things. There is credits in the folders. And for some sort of like the age-restricted users or the adult users like themselves. Probably credits to Zayasuvi for this adult usernames. Probably that must be for some sort of like this. The AU is absolutely for some sort of illegal thing, which contains for around for tools and stuff to find out what is going to be for crafting and like anywhere it goes happen, but not killing other kinds of people, including animals or some sort of stuff. The next category is called teachers, and probably there must be 4 of them, and some kind of a little bit disturbing like this. Won't be absolutely going to be doing this like I probably seen this. I didn't see like anything it goes because of a terrorist music goes on, and for some sort of cringe music a lot. There are 4 teachers, could be Mrs. Emily, Miss Grace, Mr. Demi, and finally Mrs. Sasha. And it was probably all of some for some sort of like this. I won't be able to be reviewing for some sort of like those things as well. There's no more teachers that have been going to be added for a little bit for as well. Especially well might absolutely that I'm not gonna be probably to find out as well. I might go to be added for Mrs. Keen, by the way, from Powerpuff Girls. Including for some sort of other kinds of teachers from South Park, and many more shows or games like whenever it goes. And finally, the category is the antagonist and the other kinds of usernames as well. There probably contains colorized and other forms like this for something like this. There are more teachers, could be Mrs. Chavel, Mrs. Circle, and finally Mrs. Bloomy. And Alice isn't gonna be for some sort of like this. Alice could be for some sort of the unknown enemy for those things. She looked colorized as her pet rabbit or her pet rabbit. And that must be for multiple of those guys. Could be Biscuit, Agantha, Anova, Daniel, Sophia, Sister, and finally Finn. That was all for the entire characters and all categories, and I shouldn't able to be showing this thing as well until I might gonna be previewing the characters, unless that wasn't going to be for some sort of like those things. There is could be for zip things or some sort of like those things whenever I found it, or I found for something for pretty lethal as well. The toll is going to be for some sort of circle as well. even that used for tools. And finally, the backgrounds could be from right over here. That must be the hallway and a couple of much more stuff. This is absolutely more cringe era or cringe areas are everywhere. And also, it doesn't locate in Canada whatsoever. And such as a little bit more. And it's look pretty a little bit awful than Baldi's Basics. It was cartoonics or some sort of like this whenever it goes. 3 pages whenever it goes for around here. So nothing many of like these could be for around for some sort of that contains outside of the school. The hallways, some scratch for suspected things whenever it goes around here. And the dark exits like Baldi's Basics. There must be classrooms right over here. Kindergartens, classrooms, including high school classrooms, whatever it goes. So, we might be able to be putting around for this thing as well. I won't believe this isn't going to be for such as like this. Whenever it costs, and I cannot believe this is some sort of Baldi's Basics reference. Learning something isn't going to be for such as way to be to go. Unless that must be for some sort of lockers. And the classroom could be for around over here. So I'm not pretty sure that there must be a classroom over here. At least this could be for around here for some sort of like this. So I'm never gonna be telling for this thing as anyways. So should I able to be put it around here for in the classroom as well. So I may not able to be reviewing for some chapters, but I'm just going to be doing for a private preview. The bad news is we do not able to be finding out to review for the user comics. And as you can see that Fundamental Paper Education is owned by Kate, and all sprites from Fundamental Paper Education Wikipedia, and which is kind of pretty disturbing as we're going to be seeing for the submitted sprites. And it was absolutely disturbing like this. Since that Fundamental Paper Education was very disturbing, that according for some sort of the under 13 usernames, and I'm not pretty sure that you're not going to be able to be seeing at this as well. This is an age restricted ad for some sort of you're about to be at 18 years old to be viewing of this comic creator. And I cannot believe it. This comic studio was absolutely age restricted around here as well. And that wasn't able to be easy like this thing or something. Some guys have just completely murdered around here for many couple of reasons like themselves. And it was not pretty for some kind of a little bit friendly. That was absolutely an enemy for some sort of unknown reasons. So there are more submitted sprites like themselves that added for some kind of like those things. For even there must be a limited amount of sprites, including some sort of like they're missing. So everything is absolutely completely missing. Whenever I just found out, it wasn't going to be finding a like whatsoever, even for some sort of the chocolate bars and many more for such as well. There must be featuring Baldi from Baldi's Basics. In the background that features like this, that I'm not pretty sure this isn't going to be for some sort of like this. More backgrounds from any kinds of like these things as well. For their containing rooms and many more backgrounds, a house, and many more for some sort of like the science classroom or some sort of math classrooms. Many more some kind of outside of the countryside, realistic classrooms that from some sort of the photo footage, more hallways, night hallways, and many more that must be featuring pools, and probably for such as a little bit more. And finally, explosions or some sort of fires, like nothing inside around here for some sort of like this thing as well. And that concludes the end of this video for pretty sure. That must be for Windows background from the Windows XP for round as well. So before we might able to be end of this video, eventually we added some kind of cookie run characters, could be around in the hallways, such as Onion Cookie, Hero Cookie, and Cheerleader Cookie, and finally Bell Pepper Cookie wasn't going to be been here before school as well. Added Henry Stickmans around here from their cells, from all around for those things, and probably including the classroom or inside of the classroom around here when a student was absolutely pretty still going to be for a knowledge around here as well. And a teacher from like this, it could be a top hat for one thing, of course. So for some sort of for the other kinds of the top hats have been ready for school shooting as well, or some kind of school shooting with a top hat Henry, and probably in the overcrowded hallways of like themselves, like probably as well. Cream Puff Cookie was absolutely pretty scared of those big guys, like those some kind of pretty disturbing faces as well. And it wasn't going to be for around here as well. She was followed by Ellie Rose, that she's going to be following her lead with for little one as Cream Puff Cookie to help their safety to be reaching around here for Latte Cookie. And probably definitely Mrs. Latte Cookie. On the outside of the school, on the front door, there must be a limousine, and right next to it is for some officers or some kind of police officers who are going to be investigate the school with other kinds of disturbing faces for some sort of a public safety. And you realize that could be a high school, that the boss has already arrived and inspect what is going on out here because of their faces are probably disturbing, and there must be could be for adult reference beyond their bodies or human bodies like themselves. And that will be about all around here for to do this as well. Unless you have to be at the age of 18 to view this comic studio in this comic creator around here. In the comic studio website as well, you might able to be browse some comics whenever it is. Being over at age of 13 while signed in to Comic Studio wasn't going to be exception for under ages of 13 users. Or not, it's not going to be independent for the ages of 13 persons like themselves for the underchild or some sort of toddlers. And many toddlers are not allowed to be in Comic Studio because some sort of syrupy says or not. Unless you might absolutely still going to be view in Comic Studio today, and especially into the description down below, you may not absolutely going to be clicking to the link in the description in this Comic Studio, except in the main website to browse some comics anyways. Thanks for watching, for all your support, and I'm going to be seeing many lads and Comic Studio users all later, and I'll talk to you all later for the next 2 days, and probably that will be, I'm probably not sure. So, thanks again and have a nice day.